Welcome back to Magazine Monday. This is episode 4 so far, and basically it's going to be a really quick round because I'm running out of time to shoot and edit this. So if you're new here, basically I take this stack of magazines, I go and I pick one using a wheel, and then each magazine has a car pulled on a random page, and if there is 2 cars or there's an issue, we use the wheel again to determine which 2 random cars will go head-to-head against each other at 4 different tracks with a interesting point system. So without further ado, let's just get into it. I'm going to now spin the wheel and see which magazine is going to be the first one and the second one. Top one is number 1, bottom one is number, what are we at? 9. 9. So let's see what it'll be. Numero uno. Ford versus Chevy versus Dodge. That has a good chance to be good. All right, let's choose the second magazine here. I get to choose. So this hasn't happened before, but basically this has 12 slots, and we only have 9 magazines, so otherwise I get to choose. So this is the first. What do we want? Let's see. This one has a Golf on it. This one has a GT4. Decisions. Which one's the thickest? Or which is the newest, actually? October 2020. What about these? Nope. All right, October 2020 it is. Ford versus Chevy versus Dodge, and then a collection of all the cars in the year. So this is a good pull for the choose. Now that we have these, we don't use the wheel now. Instead, I just kind of pick a random page. So this is arguably the most. This is where the cookie crumbles or the cookie's baked. I don't even know I made that up. I'm gonna pick a page. That feels good. It's an advertisement. So because it's an advertisement, the wheel does come back into play. Do we go left or do we go right? Each one is labeled. I'm gonna spin it the way, I don't know if anyone noticed, but the arrows say to go this way. So for good luck, we're gonna do it properly. We're going to the left. Left it is. The car is going to be... Woo! Okay, now we're cooking. It is I don't even know what. Elva. This is the one with, you can see the image. It has no windshield, but they use technology. Super cool. I'm really excited about that one then. It's gonna be a good round. Oh, also because this is so quick, because I don't have that much time to edit, I'm only gonna be doing 5 laps in each car for a total of 40 laps instead of 80, which takes an hour and a half. So it's gonna be down to my driving skills. If that hasn't been apparent, we're already on episode 4, and last week, the BMW M5 was really challenging as compared to the Cadillac. Anyways, I need to pick a page. What'll it be? All right, this is kind of stupid. So the wheel is going to determine. For good luck, do it the right way. Everything this episode, which is perfect. That's how it should be. All right, let's see. Please be good. Going to the left again. Please be good. We're early in the magazine. I have a feeling it won't be. Let's see. All right, it's another ad. It's another ad. I'm just gonna do it again. This is the magazine. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna force pick because this was the Choose magazine, and I've got 2 ads in a row, and I don't want to spend all day here picking a car, and I want this episode to be good because it's also gonna be quick. So yeah, so if I pull Choose on a magazine, I also get to choose the car. That's the rule now that I'm going with. I don't see you having a problem with it. So let me just pick one here. This feels wrong, but so I'm matchmaking is what I'm doing. And maybe this is what you might have wanted from the start, but I like random. So let's see here. I'm glad we got this car because they don't tell you anything about nothing. I'm just gonna guess, what would be a good challenger here. So I could pick an MC20. That might be good. This is a McLaren Roadster here, 804 horsepower. There we go. 1.7 million. Something tells me this McLaren's not going to win the price per horsepower bonus. So 804 horsepower, how much does it weigh? We're just going to have to guess that. This could have been so bad if I didn't roll that choose. So they actually talk about the Elva in this other magazine here. The Elva has a V8 4-liter twin turbo. 804 horsepower as we read, but only 590 pound-feet of torque. So this might be cheating, but there are mention of other cars here, like the Lotus Evija. I don't know, that's dumb. Ferrari. Okay. 804 horsepower, maybe against a Ferrari. The Ferrari 812 or 812, a retractable hardtop. So maybe, you know, get the tops down in a Ferrari against a McLaren. 789 horsepower, V12. 804 horsepower in the Elva. Not a lot of torque against a heavier Ferrari. I'm feeling this. Because I got to choose, I don't want to do the MC20. I'm going to do a Ferrari against a McLaren. Nod to F1. You'll see at the top, it says Ferrari 812. It has less horsepower than the Elva. And I think that in the interest of good head-to-heads, this will be quite good.
A Ferrari 812 against a McLaren Elva. Who will win? Only time will tell.
Just like last week. All right. In less than a minute, I'm going to explain the tracks that I'm bringing these cars to, and also some more details about both of the cars, because these articles didn't even offer anything really interesting to read. So there's not any cool history about anything or any tidbit that would be worth sharing. So let's go to the track explainer, and then we'll get into a side-by-side with round 1 through 4, and then we will declare a winner based on the point system I established last week. Let's get into it. Here's everything that you need to know as quickly as possible about all the 4 tracks. First is the drag strip. It's a quarter mile. The Christmas tree doesn't work. It's great for testing acceleration and figuring out the rev ranges. The second place is Michigan International Speedway, a 2-mile super speedway. It's one of the fastest tracks available. It's good for testing high-speed stability, which you will see. The third track is Waterford Hills, 1.42 miles, 13 turns. Hilltop is pretty cool. It's turn 4. You'll see it. Very technical. This introduces braking into this whole thing for the first time. Drivetrain doesn't really matter here, but what does is car balance, and you will also see that. This is as much of a challenge for me as it is for the car. Fourth track is called Waterfall Mountain. It's 1.3 miles. It's off-road. It's made up, doesn't exist. It will help us figure out which car handles better with or without traction control, how planted they are. So aero and all-wheel drive play a big role here. And those are the 4 tracks. Here's how the point system works. For round 1 of the drag strip, that's only worth 1 point. For round 2 at Michigan International Speedway, that's worth 2 points. For Waterford Hills, that is worth 4 points. And for the final off-road circuit, Waterfall Mountain, that's worth 6 points. At the very end, there will be a bonus point for best price per horsepower. Add that all up, and we'll have a winner. Here's the details about the 2 cars that are going head-to-head today. First car up is the McLaren Elva with 789 wheel horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Its top speed is 211 miles an hour. It has a 0 to 60 of 2.8 seconds. It weighs 2,641 pounds, and it has a 4-liter twin-turbo V8. The second car is the Ferrari 812 GTS with 800 horsepower and 529 pound-feet of torque. It has a 0 to 60 of 3.4 seconds. It has a top speed of 211 miles an hour, and so does the McLaren. They have the same top speed. This is a front-engine 6.2-liter V12. However, it weighs 3,759 pounds. That is 1,100 pounds more than the McLaren. So we have quite the match today. We have the same top speed. We have more horsepower in the Ferrari, but there is quite a weight deficit. With all that information, I think that we're ready for round 1. Round 1 is the drag strip, as we've come to know well. Quarter mile, 400 meters for the Europeans. Currently, the McLaren is quite insane. Halfway mark, 8th mile. 10 seconds to 12 seconds, basically 11. That gives the point to the McLaren Elva. So, it doesn't have the torque, but it definitely has the power to weight ratio. Into the second round, Michigan International Speedway. This one's a lot of fun because, honestly, like, it seems boring sometimes, but cars will actually show their hand pretty reliably. Going into turn 1, the McLaren is just foot to the floor. It's pretty crazy. The Ferrari, however, took some learning. And yeah, just impressive, the McLaren. So locked in. As you saw earlier in the B-roll, I mean, the McLaren's across the line. And so is the Ferrari. Not far behind, but still behind. If you saw earlier in the B-roll, basically the McLaren has active aero and it doesn't weigh anything. So that's a big deal there. So that point also goes to the Elva, the Ferrari GTS. I mean, it's trying to hold its ground. It was the best contender in that magazine. Maybe there was a better one, but I just kind of picked horsepower. On to Waterford Hills, 1.42 miles. Very technical. This is the braking that we so dearly wanted. I love a circuit. So the McLaren's currently killing it. It's exiting the corner the Ferrari's entering. It is a little weird though that the hands don't move, but we'll ignore that. It looks pretty cool. Cresting hilltop, the Ferrari. At the same time, McLaren's already exiting the fastest corner at the track. This thing also brakes pretty good, the Elva. Something about a mid-engine car is just like what I was born to drive. I think most people would agree with that. Doing about 100 kilometers around this corner here, whereas the Ferrari can only muster like 90. And that's the slowest corner on the track. Ferrari through the S's, and the McLaren is already onto the penultimate corner here. No issue at all with that. Cross the line for a 107. We're still waiting on the Ferrari. Ferrari's best I could muster in 5 laps, granted, was 11 seconds slower. That is insanity. It's got to be the fastest car I've tested so far. So that point obviously goes to the McLaren. And yeah, so we're kind of dealing with a situation like last week, but we're going off-road, and it's a big deal, honestly, because, well, I mean, they're both rear-wheel drive, but we do have the power. So we'll see which is more or less of a handful. McLaren's fishtailing everywhere. It did turn beautifully, though. I think that downforce plays a massive role here. The Ferrari just doesn't have basically any. It has like Autobahn Air Force, sure, but that doesn't matter at 50, 60 miles an hour. Yeah, the McLaren, it was just willing to turn, which was honestly kind of surprising. Up this hill, this is the sketchiest this hill has ever felt. And honestly, both cars. I don't know that I've had anything with like, yeah, it's just crazy. Coming up to the jump in the McLaren. Not much of a jump there because I lost a lot of speed. Let's see the Ferrari's jump. That's a proper jump. I love it. We're already on to the second to last corner here in the McLaren. Not as much of a gap as 11 seconds with the last one. 108.4, whereas the Ferrari gets 115.7. So, I mean, 7 seconds. Oh, yeah, and then I died. I hope you enjoyed my driving with the helmet. Honestly, it was very immersive, and I thought it was funny. So, that's going to conclude this head-to-head. I mean, another home run. Starting to look like the Detroit Tigers. What is great, though, is that the Ferrari has a better price per horsepower. So, it's not an absolute home run, but it is still embarrassing. However, the biggest thing here is the Ferrari had an extra 1,100 pounds. That's like 2 motorcycles, but it still had more horsepower. And it was really interesting at Michigan International Speedway. They both have the same top speed, but the Ferrari just was not planted through the corners as you saw me crash when I was explaining the tracks. The McLaren Elva is undoubtedly so far the best car on Magazine Monday, and it is this week's winner. I'm really enjoying that wheel. I hope you guys did too. The choose aspect is great. That's going to make better matchmaking. I'm happy with it. Good job, McLaren. That's Magazine Monday. I hope to see you next week, guys.